All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, call our study session to order. And Keith, you are up. I don't know if I need to announce. We're going to look at Z21-11 Bell Bank at Mercy Center PAD amendment, as well as the DR 21-142 Bell Bank.
That's good. That works. Sounds good to me.
All right, Keith, we will call the meeting to order and hear from you on the Z2111 Bell Bank at Mercy Center PAD amendment, as well as the DR 21-142 Bell Bank.
Perfect. Thank you. Chairman Simon, members of the commission, good evening. As already stated, my project that is before you tonight is Bell Bank at Mercy Center, which includes a general plan amendment and a PAD amendment. So I will go over that. So the applicant, show you the aerial. So the site is located at the southeast corner of Val Vista Drive and Mercy Road. And you can see on the screen in front of you, highlighted or outlined in pink, is the site. It's part of an overall master plan, or an overall PAD, the Mercy Center PAD, which was approved I think about a year and a half ago, and then they came back in for a PAD amendment in the month of April. The overall PAD is 11.35 acres. I'll show you the development plan here in just a second. But the site that we're dealing with today is a 2.51 acre site, and it's a portion of the Mercy Center planned area development. It's that right there in that pink. It's in the southwest corner of it, right along Val Vista Road. So the input that we're requesting tonight, staff is currently in first review. We're in support of the project, and tonight we're just before you to request some input, some general input on the elevations and the articulation of them, and also the revised site design. So here's the development plan that I wanted to show you tonight. So you can see, this is the approved development plan for the Mercy Center PAD, which is about 11.35 acres in size. The whole master plan is zoned, half of it, the half that's closest to Val Vista is zoned general commercial, and then the other half, the east half of the property, is zoned business park. The subject site, which is that southwest corner of this overall PAD, was approved they had design review approval in the month of June. It was approved for 22,105 square feet of retail/commercial space, and we called it at the time Shops B. And it's actually one building with a drive-through that goes through the middle on the ground floor. So it was approved for retail and commercial uses. So the current developer is in the process of selling this land to Bell Bank for them to use this site as their East Valley headquarters for their bank, in which will include a small bank branch and and offices on the second and third stories. So here's the development plan that they are proposing. Like I said earlier, the site is 2.51 acres of the overall Mercy Center PAD, and it's zoned. This portion of the site is zoned general commercial. The applicant is proposing 25,120 square feet of office space. So just a little bit larger than what was previously approved for the site. And they will have 121 parking spaces. So the reason it's coming before you tonight for a PAD amendment and the DR is due to the change in the use of the site to an office and a bank branch. So in the change to the size of the building, which is slightly increased, the parking internal landscape areas have changed subtly, but the fact that it's changing use from retail and commercial type uses to more of an office use, we had determined that it was no longer in substantial conformance with the previously approved or the original development plan that I showed you on this slide. So that is why they're coming to you for this amendment to the development plan. Now, I wanted to note that as part of this amendment for this development plan, they are not modifying or requesting to change any of the previously approved development standards such as setbacks, height, landscape percentages, nothing like that. None of that will be changing. All they're doing with this proposal is, yes, they're changing the use, but they're changing the design of a previously approved development plan, as I showed to you on the previous screen. So the landscape plan, they're proposing 17.3% landscaping, and you can see the landscaping is in the parking lots predominantly, and of course along the main entrance and along Val Vista Drive. Now, before we continue to move on and I show the elevations, I want to back up to the site plan really quick. I should have mentioned this previously when I had you on this slide. But one unique thing about this development, they still do have the drive-through that goes through the center of the building on the ground floor. But one new element that is being introduced with this development, which is something that is unique in Gilbert that we haven't seen before, is that they are going to be having underneath the second and third story on that south side of the building, they will have a portion of their parking lot on the ground floor underneath the second and third story of the building, as you can see right there on the site plan. So that is a unique element that I just wanted to touch on really quickly. So as far as the elevations that were previously approved for Mercy Center are concerned, here you can see them on the screen in front of you. This is the east elevation for Shops B, which shows all the main entrances to the buildings. You can see a very modern type of design with various materials and colors. The main materials and colors of this were a CMU masonry with some, I believe it had some limestone a little bit on the building, and it had some hardy board or wood type siding and some metal accents and things like that, and a lot of glass. So this is the elevation. The top one is the west elevation that faces Val Vista. So I wanted to show you these elevations before I showed you and introduced to you the elevations that are proposed by Bell Bank. So Bell Bank's elevations, here is the one that is facing the east. You can see the main entrance on the far right, on the bottom right portion of this. The building is 42 feet tall and 3 stories. Now, when we measure 42 feet, it's measured to the roof surface or the plate line, which is a dashed line underneath those air conditioning units that you can see there. That's how we measure height. Now, the overall height of the building all the way to the top of the parapets is actually 52 feet high, which actually exceeds the allowable height of 50 feet by 2 feet. So the applicant is going to have to reduce the height of those parapet walls by 2 feet so that it does not exceed. The code allows for parapet walls to exceed the 45-foot height limit of the surface of the roof by 5 feet. So they can go up to 50 feet to the top of those parapets. And we have already provided that comment to the applicant, and so they will work on redesigning the building a little bit for that parapet height to come down just a little bit. So you can see that the building, very similar to the other design, it complements the design. It wasn't their intent to make it match the design exactly. It's a complementary design. A lot of the same materials, same colors, flat roof lines, a lot of glass, and things like that. So, and there's the one facing the parking lot. And then here is the west elevation that will face Val Vista Road, or Val Vista Drive, excuse me. So a lot of the same materials and colors, similar design. Town staff hasn't, we have not provided them first review comments quite yet. We are going to be providing them early next week. We'll have a few minor comments for them on the design of the building, but nothing that is major or of major concern. So we would love to get your input on the design of the buildings. Here's the colors and the materials. Like I said, masonry based, stone tile. It's kind of like a limestone type tile. They're introducing a new material. It's kind of like a concrete form style type look. And then they will also have composite wood clad siding, same as the building to the north, which will complement this design. And the colors will be very complementary to what has been approved already for the Mercy Center building to the north that will be constructed. And then again, here's the development plan again at the very end. But that should conclude my presentation. And like I stated earlier, I would like to get your input and feedback on the elevations and the articulation and the revised design of the site. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Keith. Anybody have any questions or comments for Keith?
Thank you, Keith. Very nice presentation. Just to refresh my memory, was this the one where we were talking that originally in the plan they were talking about having drive-through, like kind of possibly restaurant type activity, and they were going to have the two of them there? I mean, back when it was first approved in the original design.
Chairman Simon, Vice Chair, Munt, sorry, excuse me. Yes, they were proposing to have kind of some drive-through type restaurant elements. The building to the north in Shops A, which is here, I can go back to that site plan and show you, will still have that. So here, if you can see on the site plan, Shops A to the north, they will still have a restaurant type component that is attached to that drive-through. So that will still exist in the building to the north, just not in the building to the south any longer.
Right. And so in that light, I remembered looking at this and being concerned about the vast amount of in and out traffic and going back and forth. And given, of course, what's across the street with the Dutch Brothers and delicious custard at Culver's, the amount of people that are going there. So actually, I think this is a really good use, and I think I actually enjoy the change. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Bianchi.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. I think it's overall, I think it's a sharp-looking project. I think it's kind of, like you had said, Keith, it's unique. The questions that I've got are kind of towards the windows, especially on the west elevation. Are those, it appears like they're slightly inset. They're not flush against or flat against the facade.
Chairman Simon, Commissioner Bianchi, I believe that is correct. If you can see on the elevation that's on the screen in front of you, you can see that there's a little bit of an overhang over the top above the windows. So I believe that it will have the appearance of being more inset due to that overhang.
Because I guess my original concern where I'm going with that, and I would defer to our architects on commission here, is the reflective properties of the glass, especially the west-facing elevation as you're driving down Val Vista there. I don't know if there's a potential for glare or something like that, or if that can just be addressed through the reflective properties of the glass pretty easily.
Chair Simon, Commissioner Bianchi, amazing comment. We were actually planning on making a comment on that in our first review comments. So we were hoping that the applicant can address that with, as a result of our comments in the future reviews. So,
okay.
But it's a very good comment. Thank you.
The one thing I'd want the reassurance on, but overall, I'm in favor of the amendment. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, Commissioner Anderson.
Keith, thank you for the presentation. I really like the project. It's cool. I don't have any comments or concerns with the zoning. For the DR case, I really like the building. I think it's cool. Like you said, introducing an open podium style. That's something that we don't see, and I think it's a really cool concept. I think chopping down the parapet 2 feet is not that big of a deal. Looks like it's still going to screen the mechanical units. The question I have has to do with the parking and the drive-through underneath the building. So is there any reason for fire to get underneath there? And if so, is 12 feet high enough for them? Is there a minimum height that they need for vertical clearance to get underneath things?
Chair Simon, Commissioner Anderson, I'm still in the process of verifying that with the fire department. Um, I I will ask that specific question of them to see if there is a height requirement and if a fire truck would have the need to even get underneath there in the event of an emergency or a fire. So that's something that we hope to get addressed with of course, with the current first review of the project. So
Okay. Yeah, because like if let's say it comes back and they require 15 feet, now you got to 3 feet you got to deal with somehow. So okay,
good.
thank you.
Very, very good. Thank you for that, and we will make sure that gets addressed.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, Commissioner Jones.
A quick question, Keith. But in terms of the change, so there was a slight increase in the square footage. As far as the footprint of the building, what was approved previously versus the change now, how do they compare in square footage?
Chair Simon, Commissioner Jones, right? I can't see your name. I don't know everybody's names. I apologize. I'm so bad with names. So as far as the comparison in the square footages, I have it shown up on the screen for you. So the approved development plan, the building was a little over 22,000 square feet, and then the new one is about 25,000 square feet. So about a 3,000 square foot difference. And the actual form of the size of the width of the footprint and the kind of like the depth of the building is very similar to what was previously approved. So it's just, I believe the old building was 2 stories and this will be 3 stories. So I think that's what adds to the additional or gives it a little bit more square footage.
All right. Anybody else? All right, Keith. From my perspective, I like the site plan. Obviously, previously, I think that we're fine there. The only hesitation I had previously was the drive-through, similar to others on the panel. And I think with there being a bank drive-through, obviously that's going to reduce the amount of traffic in and out of there considerably. Overall, I like the design of the building and the product that's being presented. So I'd approve it. So
Okay. Thank you.
Is that all you need?
I think I've got everything I need. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Keith.
Mhm.
All right. With that, we will move on to discussion of regular meeting agenda. Currently, we have 3 items in the consent agenda. We've got DR 21-129 PMB Medical Office Building, DR 21-137 Dutch Bros, and DR 21-122 Melrose Medical in consent. We've discussed moving Cottage Lane, item 9, to the consent agenda. Do we have any community members here that would like to speak on that?
No, I don't see anybody from the public here for Cottage Lane, and I haven't received any requests.
Okay, and from staff's opinion, is there any reason we shouldn't move that to consent?
Nope, there's no reason
Right.
not to move it to consent.
Anybody on the panel wish to discuss it?
I think the only thing I would say is since we have the planning managers assigned to give that presentation, it might be nice to have her do it. That's just my opinion, but otherwise I'm okay with it going to consent.
Wait, was that kind of a jab? Is that what I'm collecting there? All right, so
I might have some initial concerns with the plat, so
okay,
we probably don't need a full presentation, but
you'd like
if
to
we
keep
pull
it?
it off
Okay,
and just vote on it separately,
okay.
other than consent.
Yeah, and then if she was going to do it, I was going to say, well, I think it's only right that the planning director does one next month.
Okay, so we'll keep the agenda as written then, if everybody's good with that. All right, with that, I will go ahead and adjourn the study session, and we will break for about 12 minutes and come back for about 3 minutes and go from there. All right, we'll go ahead and call the regular meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, and have a roll call. Present.
Vice Chairman Mund,
Here.
Commissioner Bianchi,
Here.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yeah.
Commissioner Blazer,
Here.
Commissioner Fay,
Present.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And with that, we'll look to approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
Yes, Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I have a motion of a second.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Vice Chair and a second by Commissioner Blazer. All in favor?
Do we need to clarify the change to the agenda?
I don't think we
We
made
didn't
Oh,
make
we
a
didn't
change.
change the agenda.
I thought we were moving 9 up to consent.
No, we kept it on non-consent
Okay.
per your request.
Okay. Was it because of that?
Was that? No.
No.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I've got a motion by Vice Chair and a second by Commissioner Blazer to approve the agenda as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. And put on the eyeballs. All right, so communications from citizens. At this time, members of the public may comment on matters within the jurisdiction of the town, but not on the agenda. The commission response is limited to responding to criticism, asking staff to review a matter commented upon, or asking that a matter be put on a future agenda. Do we have any community members who wish to address the commission? All right, not seeing any, we will move on. Report from the council liaison. Council member, Mr. September.
You guys hear that? Oh, thank you, Chairman. Just a couple things real quick here. It's almost the end of the year. We made it. Feels great to be this close. You probably have like 14 shopping days until Christmas. And, oh, the water tower lighting occurred on the 29th. It was a really neat event. Parks Department put it on. There was a live music. There were vendor carts. And the tower was lit at 7 o'clock to start the holiday season. And the way this will work is starting at 5:30 every evening until January 3rd and going until 10 o'clock. It will be the lighting will be actually coordinated on a radio station, 88.9 FM. So if you're within 1 mile of the water tower, you can tune your radios to 88.9, and you actually hear the music that coincides with the light display that's going to go on. So that's kind of neat, and that's something that's going to continue until January 3rd. I also wanted to announce that our very own Ashley McDonald is going to graduate from Park University next week with a master's degree in public administration. And lastly, I wanted to thank all of you for the time investment that you've made into Gilbert and into this community. I want to thank your families for sharing you and your time with all of us and with the town, and just appreciate everything that you do. Thank you very much. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year.
All right. Thank you, council member. And Ashley, congratulations. All right. With that, public hearing, all items listed below are considered the public hearing consent calendar. The commission may, by a single motion, approve any number of the items where after opening the public hearing, no person requests the item to be removed from the consent calendar. If such a request is made, the commission shall withdraw the item from the public hearing consent calendar for the purposes of public discussion and separate action. After items on the agenda, other items on the agenda may be added to the consent calendar and approved upon a single motion. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yes, Chairman. And just I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of DR 21, number 6, DR 21-129, PMB Medical Office Building 3, And then number 7 is actually continued to January 5th, and number 8 has been withdrawn by the applicant, so it'll just be the number 6.
All right, thank you. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda item by Vice Chair. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Commissioner Blazer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. We will move on to the public hearing non-consent. Non-consent public hearing items will be heard at an individual public hearing and will be acted upon by the commission by a separate motion. During the public hearings, anyone wishing to comment in support of or in opposition to a public hearing item may do so. If you wish to comment on a public hearing item, you must fill out a public comment form indicating the item number on which you wish to be heard. Once the hearing is closed, there will be no further public comment unless requested by a member of the Commissioner Board. With that, Eva, will go to you for number 9, S21-05 Cottage Lane.
Chairman and Commissioners. As mentioned, this is a preliminary plat for Cottage Lane. I think that you'll be familiar with this. In September, you approved the rezoning and the general plan amendment for this plat. It's located south of the southwest corner of Elliott and Greenfield Roads, and it's approved for 21 lots on 3.1 acres. They would be zoned single-family detached with a planned area development overlay. Here is the preliminary plat. As you could see, there are one entrance off of Greenfield with 9 homes, lots that'll front on that, and then 2 side roads which will accommodate the other 12 lots. Here is the landscape plan. There's 18% open space, and there's a ramada area with a turfed lawn in the southwest corner. There's also a large amount of trees on this site, both to buffer the subdivision from Greenfield Road and also on the interior of the subdivision. The grading and drainage plan has been reviewed and approved by engineering. And the wall plan, this is the wall that will be on Greenfield Road. It's taupe in color and is a, sorry, I'm blanking on the, on the term for the exposed concrete. And it will have signage on the north side, and it will have plantings on the south side. There's an existing wall shown in blue on this plan. The applicant is working with an engineer, and if it can be accommodated, they will raise that wall to 6 foot 8 inches in height. And then there are also additional walls on the interiors between the lots. Here are the wall materials. These are for the interior walls. And the recommendation is for approval of this preliminary plat. And as you could see, the second recommendation is that they raise the height of the perimeter wall. The applicant is here as well if there are any questions. I don't believe they intend to make a presentation this evening.
All right, thank you, Eva. Contrary to popular belief, you still do a very good job presenting. With that, I don't have any comment cards from community members, so we'll bring it up to the dais. Any questions for Eva?
Just a couple quick questions.
Commissioner Bianchi.
So Eva, Stevens Road, that's going to be, that's a private street with that public street with 2 private drives off of it?
That's correct.
Okay, and it's 6 foot 8 inches, not 6 to 8 feet on the back wall?
That's correct.
Okay. And so we don't know if those walls are going to need reinforcement or anything additional to support that additional height?
I know the applicant was looking into that.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'm Chris Webb with Rose Law Group, here representing Vasari Asset Management, the owner and developer. Commissioner Bianchi, to answer your question, we do not yet know if the wall is structurally sound enough to support just raising it up without rebuilding it or reinforcing it, but that is something that we will verify during the final design stage, which we will move into next if we're fortunate enough to have your approval on the preliminary plat.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Any other questions or comments?
Yes,
Yeah,
before
Commissioner
you go,
Fay.
because the packet made it sound like you will either rebuild it or replace the wall up to 6'8", but what I heard during the presentation was you're looking at it, and if possible, you'll do it. I mean, I guarantee it's possible if you spend enough money. It's is it you're going to do it, or you're fixing or thinking about it?
Yeah, Commissioner Fay. So what we have told all of our neighbors throughout the process is that if it is structurally sound enough, we will raise it up. It may or may not be in those locations. So that is our intent. It may turn out that as we evaluate it, if the wall is not in great condition, doesn't look very good, it may be to our benefit to replace it, fix it, whatever we need to do. So that'll be part of our analysis during the final design phase.
That if I understand correctly, so
Yeah.
when complete, there will be a 6'8" wall. May not be the original wall, but it will be.
Yes, and so we're familiar with this stipulation and we're okay with it.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant or for Eva? All right. Not seeing any.
Actually, I do have a question
Oh, we got one more
on this
question.
wall
Commissioner
thing.
Anderson.
The more you talk, the more we get questions. Get down quickly.
Whose property is this wall on? Is it a property line wall, or is it on the applicant's side of the property line, or is it on the opposite side?
Yeah, Commissioner Anderson, good question. So the perimeter wall is on the property line. So it's a common property line wall. That being said, obviously there are existing backyards on the other side of it, and so whatever we end up doing, we'll have to coordinate with those property owners, and they're aware of that.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes. On the landscape plan, I know there had been some discussion about doing some kind of trees or something along the northern edge of that property as kind of a buffer with those neighbors. Can you maybe comment on what that discussion has been with the neighbors and why you're proposing to not do anything along that boundary?
Sure. Oops. There we go. Yes, good question, Commissioner Jones. As you have noted, there was some discussion with the neighbors about two different scenarios. One scenario in which we would add perimeter trees in the backyards of some of our lots as some additional screening, buffering. That was scenario one. Scenario two was that we would buy them trees to plant in their own yards if they wanted that. In discussion with the neighbors, the feedback we got was that they did not want us to plant trees in the backs of our lots because they were concerned about leaves and things getting into pools and whatnot. And so what we ultimately decided with them is that we would work with each one of them to purchase trees for them to put in their yards if they wanted to. Some will, some won't. Just depends on what they have in their backyard. So we've committed to do that.
Commissioner Blazer.
I just want to say thank you for working with the neighbors and working with us. But I know that this was there were a lot of strong feelings about this, and so just thank you for being willing to work with them, raise the wall, plant some trees. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, Chairman. Just because I haven't said anything, I will echo Commissioner Blazer's sentiments.
All right. Thank you, Vice Chair. All right. With that, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. We'll bring it back up to the dais for any discussion or a motion.
Oh, Chairman.
Yes,
So
Commissioner Blazer.
I do have comments. Thank you for keeping this on. I'm glad we asked a couple questions. That was good. So it makes me feel a little better about that. To be honest with you guys, I'm struggling a little bit with this plat and this project. I'm excited to see that this parcel be improved from its current state. I think efforts have been made to kind of mitigate some of the initial residential and neighbors' concerns. The zoning, it's been addressed and discussed, but I think the lot sizes and all the two-story homes, they're a bit out of scale with the adjacent development. I do realize that some of my options, would be limited with the pre-plat, but some of my initial concerns are the impact with parking and circulation within the mix of public and private streets, the lot lengths with the shorter lot sizes and the adjacent lots. When we factor in the easements, you take a lot of square footage. At that point, they're just kind of almost meeting the SFD minimums when we take off the right-of-ways and the easements that are in the front of the properties. I do appreciate the 15-yard setbacks, but with all the two-story homes and the density, it still seems a little tight to me. This project actually reminds me a lot of Lamb Lane that we saw a couple months ago. That's another SFD proposal where I think a lot of us had similar concerns that we were able to kind of work through, and there was a lot less adjacent residential on that. So I think what I want to make sure is we're not kind of creating more issues than we're solving with this. So I guess in regards to the facts of finding, other than this being a residential use, which would be compatible adjacent to it, I worry that it won't be complementary or compatible with a lot of the adjacent residential development. So those are my concerns. That's why I wanted to move it to consent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Bianchi. Any other comments? Yeah, Commissioner Jones.
I would echo the same comments as Commissioner Bianchi. I think I struggle a little bit taking off, the zoning case was approved. I have the same concerns about the density, but, I was trying to take that hat off and look at this from a plat standpoint. So I still have some of those concerns about this project. But as far as kind of the layout and what we see today, I think with the current zoning, it's generally okay, but I have the same concerns as Commissioner Bianchi.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Go ahead and make that motion.
Commissioner Anderson.
Approve the findings of fact in S21-05, subject to the following conditions as stated in the staff report.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And I have a second by Commissioner Blazer. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
All right. Do we need a roll call on that?
Were the only two nays Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Bianchi?
That's correct.
Okay, so it passes 5-2.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. With that, we'll move to administrative items. Administrative items are for the commission. Discussion and action. It is to the discretion of the majority of the commission regarding public input requests on any administrative items. Persons wishing to speak on an administrative item should complete a public comment form indicating the item number on which you wish to address the commission. May or may not accept public comment. Do we have any administrative items we need to attend to? Not seeing any. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Planning Commission meetings from the November 3rd meeting.
Yes, Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Planning Commission minutes from the meeting on November 3rd, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Vice Chair and a second by Commissioner Fay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, with that, report from Chairman. I have nothing. Eva, did we miss you?
No, she's next.
Oh, you're next. All right.
Well, if we're still on the commission,
Yeah, commission and
seeing
members.
how Ava ended up doing her presentation tonight, now I think it's really fitting for Kyle to dust off his presentation shoes for next month and jump on there.
You can come and present the South Acre to us. Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Chairman.
Jones.
I had brought up a couple of months ago kind of this movement towards sustainability in real estate, and something I just want to throw the idea out there to see if others would support this idea. But as we have these applications come into us, I would appreciate sometimes in the staff reports to have a little bit of a better sense of how the applicant is addressing things like sustainability from an energy efficiency standpoint or from building materials or whatever it might be, that kind of starts tilting us a little bit that direction to see. So I think that would be something that I would love to see, of kind of how are people are thinking about that. And I don't know if anyone else has that same feeling or not, but it's just an idea that I want to put on the table.
I appreciate that. Eva, is that something that would be fair to throw into staff presentations?
We can certainly look into that, but currently it's not something that the applicant has to address. It's not noted in our zoning ordinance or on our application, but we can certainly state that the commission does have concerns about sustainability and see if the applicant wishes to add anything.
Okay.
And I believe currently isn't the IECC code in Gilbert optional? Yeah.
Yeah, I would be careful to stick to code and ordinance personally versus applicants receiving a mixed message that something new is required.
Pardon me, gentlemen, we shouldn't really get into too much discussion because it hasn't been put on the agenda, but it's been noted that it's a concern and we can work with staff.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, I'll switch gears there to take a little bit of light note to this because you guys took us off the rails. And I'll just say that it's been a lot of fun working with you all this year. And, you know, just because I assume this is our last meeting in 2021. And we'll see you all next year. And thanks for all your hard work. And have a Merry Christmas. And Happy New Year.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Munt. All right. Eva, we'll go to you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to echo Councilmember September's praise of Ashley. We're all very proud that she'll be in the first cohort to get their master's from Park University. And there are 11 other staff members that will be graduating with her. And also just to let you know that we are trying to get more planners on staff. Ashley and I will be conducting a first round of interviews next week. So hopefully we will fill 2 of our 4 vacancies, or currently 5 vacancies. So we're trying to fill those. And again, just to wish everybody a happy holiday and a happy new year.
All right. Awesome. If anybody wants a job, see Eva, I guess. With that, I will adjourn the meeting. Have a very wonderful holidays and a happy new year, everybody. We'll see you next year.